Hi everyone, today we're going to be working again on this Scarecrow picture from Miniature Secret Garden by Johanna Basford. Now, my last video I showed how to do this sky, but the next video I recorded was for this bit of background. Unfortunately, the video has disappeared. I think I must have accidentally deleted it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to crack on with the leaves down here at the bottom, and then I'm going to have a chat to you about what I did in the sky. In the rest of the background, sorry, so that you can have a go if you want to do it in this way. So I'm going to start with number 52. This is Staedtler Ergosoft again, as we have been using for all of this picture, and I'm going to start colouring these leaves that don't have any texture on. Do you see some of these are striped and some of them aren't? I'm going to do them in two different ways just to make it look slightly more interesting. So what I've done with this background is the sort of hill and field sort of part. I used the two olivey sort of green colours. This is because I'd already planned what I was going to be doing for the leaves. So I picked those two colours so they would look different, because I didn't want it all looking too much the same. So I did the let me just check the number for you. I will put them in the comments anyway. The number 57 is I did all over the background apart from this brown bit to start with, and covered it all, and then I went back over it at the very top near the sky. Now the reason for that was that as I understand it, when you look at in the distance at a landscape, the very far away bits are darker than the bits closer to you, and I wanted to give that impression that we're looking away into the distance, so I did those darker. And then towards the bottom, by where the soil is, I took that lighter shade of olivey green, which I'll check for you is number 56, which is one of my favourite Ergosoft colours actually, and did along the bottom in that, and then I sort of blended the two colours together towards the middle, and I did a couple of layers of that green, as you can see, to build up some colour there. Now with the very bottom bit when we've got the dirt, what I did there was I scumbled in quite big circular motions like this, leaving little gaps so it looks a bit scribbly. I'll push it up so you can see. And I used two different shades. I used a brown and the brown number 76, and then I used the dark grey, which is number 8 as well. Now I used a couple of layers of brown, I think, and then a grey on top, so it looks quite muddy brown was the idea behind that. So I did that. Now some of it has gone over these little round circle-y stony bits. I haven't decided what I'm doing with those yet, so I haven't rubbed it out or anything. I've just left it there. Now what I'm doing with the leaves at the moment, I'm using this colour, this number 52, and I'm doing a layer of this. What I'm going to do is do a lighter coloured tip on the leaf. So I'm starting darker towards the bottom of the leaf and then reducing my pressure towards the tip. And I'm just doing the same on every leaf so it's consistent. I think we could make it all really different, but sometimes when I do that it can end up looking like a big mishmash. I think some people do it beautifully, but I haven't quite mastered that, so I try and stick to more of a simple palette of colour, I suppose. And also with your Ergosoft, you haven't got a huge range of colours. We have got a selection of different greens, but not massive amounts. So that's all the leaves on this side, nearly completed. And then I'm going to blend in the lighter green colour. I'm just going to do this one side, and the other one I should do in a speeded up version, so you don't have to watch me colouring every single little bit. So I'm going to start on the tip then move downwards and blend it all in together. I'm going to use this all over, pressing harder towards the base and lighter towards the tip in exactly the same way as we did with the other colour, except we're going right to the end of the leaf. You can see I haven't done all the stems yet. I decided to just do the stems in the other green colour. So here we go, harder pressure here, and then lighter towards the tip. Now I'm not sure how much else I'm going to have time for in this video. I have to keep an eye on the battery. Unfortunately my mains cable is broken at the minute, so I'm running on battery power, so I have to keep checking that the battery doesn't run out, because then we don't get all the video recorded. And because I don't tend to look at the little screen on the camera very much, it can end up that it's finished and I'm wittering away to myself, not even recording it, and I've got not enough video to show for it at the end. Might have been what happened with the background to this one. Anyway, so as you can see, that's all of those done, and I'm going to do the ones on the other side, but I should do it in a speeded up fashion so that you don't have to listen to me. So hold on a minute. Right, I've also done the darker leaves on this side as well, but I will talk you through doing them on this side, and it is exactly the same. So this is upside down. It's a number 38 Ergosoft. It's the sort of very darkest green, and we're going to use exactly the same technique as we did for the other leaves. So just working our way up the leaf, starting darker towards the stem and getting lighter as we go up towards the leaf. Don't colour over the overlappy bit yet. We'll do that in a minute. So doing it for every leaf, darker on the bottom. I find these Ergosofts work so lovely on this paper. You can just gently press them and it almost just pulls the colour off for you. It's really lovely. And not quite so dark on this one because we can't see the bottom of the leaf where it'd be darker. I did all the stalks on the other side as well, which I hadn't completed on this side, so I shall do that as well in a minute. So what I find is if you have a colour scheme for your leaves, once you've decided on one, if you're doing all the others the same, it speeds up the process. You don't have to keep stopping and thinking what colour you're going to be doing, which I find can sometimes really make me quite slow in my colouring. And also if you keep switching between colours all the time, it can take quite a long time. You see, I've opted to not complete a leaf, but to do one part of the colour on every one and then swap to the next colour. Partly that's so I remember what I'm doing, but also because it's easier. It's much quicker that way. The other green I've used is the number 5. And so like we did with the other one, to just go over what's been done already with a hard pressure and then lighten it gently as you come towards the end of the leaf. And for this bit I just did a really gentle pressure, because I often looked, if you look at the underside of some leaves, they're a lot paler and almost sort of silvery grey in colour compared to the green on the top. Obviously depends very much on the leaf. So I tend to do a piece that's turned over just that little bit lighter. Now again, this is the same, so darker over the top and more pressure, and then lighten towards the end of the leaf. We just repeating that process through. So going over what we've done before, harder pressure and then gently less, and then a very light pressure on this piece here. So harder pressure here over the top, keep it fairly hard until we get onto the lighter areas, and then just gentle pressure to the end. Just the same on every leaf. It's lovely and relaxing, don't have to think too much, just doing the same bit over and over. And oh yes, this one here. And just blend it through. Right, we'll just do the stems. My pencil's at the top there. So I was using the number 52. I did a bit here, but I'm just going to go through them all and do all the stems on all the leaves. Now we've got these little leaves and the pieces on the top of each strawberry to do as well. While I was colouring the other side, I was having a think about what to do with those. I decided that the tops of the strawberries would be a sort of slightly darker green colour. I'm not going to shade it or anything, it's just too small. So I'm going to use the number, upside down, number 5 to do all the little leaf parts on the top of the strawberries. So I'm just going to do that now. Now you could shade this a little bit, it would naturally be a bit lighter on the top because there's be more shadow towards the actual strawberry, but it's just too small. I'm not going to worry about it. On my larger version in my larger secret garden book, I did do that. I shaded it through a little bit, but for this one I'm just going to keep it simple, dark. It's more fun to just keep it simple. There we go. I'm just going to check my battery, that's okay, and go through to this one. There's a little stem on that one which I missed. I'm just going to do it in this colour. Now the flowers are quite an interesting one on here because strawberries flowers tend to be white, but I find that if I leave anything white, it looks like I've just forgotten to colour it, or I've been lazy and I couldn't be bothered, and so it makes it a little bit tricky. Of course you can use a white pencil, but it won't really show up, so it's a bit of a dilemma as to know what to do. Now these leaves here and here I'm going to do in the number 52, which is the colour I did for the stem, partly so that it ties in and partly because it's just my favourite, one of my favourite greens. It's not my favourite, I keep saying this is my favourite, that's my favourite, this is one I particularly like too. So anyway, so the flowers, so I'm going to do them very slightly pink so that they so that I can actually put some colour in there. Now the pink in this set I find is the lightest pink. It's very pretty, but I find it comes out quite dark even though it's light. You have to be really careful if you want just a delicate pressure on there. Oh look, I've missed those stalks. I can pop those in. So I'm going to try ever so hard just to keep it really light and just a tiny bit of pink. Now the centre of the flowers, they're coloured in black, but we've got some little seed dots as well, or little, I don't know, stamen, I don't know. So I would think that will be yellow. So I'm going to start actually with a yellow, which I've got number 1 here. And there's this circle around the centre, which I'm going to do in yellow. I don't know how well it's going to show up. It's a snapped pencil where I was pressing far too hard. I might go over that black as well, tone it down. I'll do the same on, oh, missed off those two, these two. Oh, and there's one peeping out down there, which isn't on here though, because this bit isn't quite symmetrical. and there. Now I'm also thinking about the strawberries and how we're going to colour those, because in the Ergosoft set we only have one really nice red. The others is we've got a pinky red and an orangey red, and I think I might just do them in the one colour. Now the pink I'm going to pick for this, whoops, is the number 20, and I'm going to try and keep it ever so light and just towards the middle and very, very gentle pressure. I'm hardly touching the paper at all, but I just want there to be enough there to look like I've coloured it in, not too dark. Now I'm tempted to, I haven't done any yellow on those, I'm tempted to use some white and yellow gel pen to do little dot details in the centre of these strawberry flowers. Now I would do that if it was a larger picture, but I may not with this one, it's so small. There's something quite nice about just sticking with all Ergosoft and not going in with pens. So I'm just getting a little bit of colour into each of these. As I say, I'm pressing ever so gently, but for you this might be your normal pressure, because as I say, I think I tend to press quite hard. I find it quite tricky when I'm following colour along videos, which I do. If I follow Chris Cheng or Emily Illustrator, they press so gently, and I sometimes find that I've pressed too hard and I can't add any more layers of colour on top as they are doing because I've been pressing too hard. Okay, strawberries. Now we want the red, the number 29 red for the strawberries, and I'm just going to do a gentle layer all over the top of the strawberry. Now we've got these little dots, seeds dots on, but I'm not going to worry about those now. I want these to be a really lovely, luscious, dark red colour and really stand out. I'm not going to worry about shadow or shading at this point. I just want to get a lot of red out of this pencil. This is a really nice red colour. What I do, if you've only got the 24 set of Staedtler, you don't have this lovely red colour. Now, but what I used to do when I only had the 24 was I would combine the two reds that you've got in there. You've got the sort of orangey red, which is number 2, and the pinky red, which is number 23, and I would put one on top of the other, and I would find that would give a nice red shade, so it wasn't too orangey and it wasn't too pinky. There's a little hint for you if you don't have this red, which I think is a lovely, lovely red colour, to have a go at that and see what happens. I would also sometimes darken the red with a bit of purple, the sort of pinky red, but experiment if you're doing that. Experiment on some other paper, because obviously you need to get the pressure right to get the right amount of purple and the right amount of red. It's not always that easy. Now, what I could do with these strawberries is a little bit of shading. I could do some white dots for like shine, and I'm trying to think whether to do that or not. I've decided against getting my white pen out at this stage, so I may just do some gentle shading where they cross over each other, and maybe towards the bottom of the strawberry, but you have to decide what colour to do the shading. Now, I'm often a fan of a browny grey colour. It depends on what you're adding shadow to as to what colour might work best. And I'm trying to think about these strawberries. I am going to go with this number 76 brown and very, very gently do a little bit under here where the leaf is. It would be casting a little bit of a shadow, and then along here where they cross, one crosses over the other, it would be forming a shadow under there, like that. Oh, I'm pressing too hard again. Under there, and under here, down there, and just under here. I only want to add a gentle bit because I don't want it to look brown. I just want that shadowy effect. So there we go, that's done that. Now we could also add the brown to add shadows between the leaves as well, but I'm quite happy with how they look. I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to leave that here. We're going to do the leaves as part of the Scarecrow later once I've got my battery charged up again. So I hope you enjoyed that and have a go at that, and happy colouring.